Back in the record on Edgecomb, 20 CF 3535. Appearances remain the same. Can the state make a record on the next witness? The jury's not present, but I'll have the jury brought in a minute.
Your Honor, the next witness is Rodtrell Cameron. As the court will remember, Mr. Cameron was secured by way of a material witness warrant. He's being held on that. We have obtained him counsel. He has Tom Reed from the State Public Defender's Office. And I normally, honestly, I was going to call him much later in the case, but I want to get him out. So I'm taking him out of order. We're calling him earlier than normal, and we're going to try and get him done today.
Fine. I'll have the jury brought in. Mr. Reed, anything before we bring the jury in?
No, Your Honor.
Defense, anything?
No, Your Honor.
Nope.
All right. Fine. We'll have the jury brought in. You can all remain seated. Yes, the jury's coming in. You can remain seated, please. Sir, if you can stand and raise your right hand, please.
You solemnly swear that the testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
Please be seated. State your full name, spelling first and last for the record.
Rodtrell Cameron, that's Rodtrell, Cameron, Cameron.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Mr. Cameron, I want to talk to you about an incident that you witnessed back in September of 2020 around Brady and Holton. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Okay. Specifically, sir, kind of want to just, I'm going to show you some photos, and I know, unfortunately, in your current situation, we don't get a good look at everything. I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 84. If we're looking at 84, you see Brady and Holton and kind of where Bridge and Casablanca, Zanias are. Can you see all that?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to place it on the big screen just for the jury here so they can see it. And I'm going to zoom in the best we can with our technology. And there we go. So now, in terms of where this incident occurs, were you walking or were you driving? What were you doing?
I was driving.
All right. Now, I'm going to try to get you a little closer to that microphone. There we go. I know it's awkward, and I know this is a horrible situation for you, sir, but
All right, if you can just try to speak up, sir, I'd appreciate it.
what kind of car were you driving?
I believe I was in my Jeep Grand Cherokee.
Okay. Do you remember what color that was?
Green.
Green? Okay. And were you driving on Brady Street?
Yes.
Which way were you heading? Away from the lake or towards the lake?
I was heading west.
Okay, so away from the lake.
Yes.
That's always the easiest way for me to remember. So if we're looking at the State's Exhibit on Brady, you're heading towards Holton, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Where were you going?
Home. I had just pulled off from Zana's Pizza.
And when you are heading home, kind of in the area, do you observe anything that happens outside Zana's Pizza?
Yes, as soon as when I pulled off, I was at a red light behind a vehicle. And at that time, we was probably there for good 30 to 60 seconds. There was a guy on a bike rolled up to the car in front of me. They exchanged some words or whatnot on the passenger side, and then the guy went to punching him. The guy on the bike punched the person in the passenger seat of the car in front of me.
Okay, so you're in your vehicle, you see this vehicle in front of you. Can you tell how many people were in that vehicle in front of you?
Two, I believe, yeah.
Okay, and the person on the bicycle, did you see where that person came from?
From behind me, that's all I know.
And when they come up, when this person on the bicycle comes up alongside the vehicle in front of you, did it appear the vehicle in front of you, the passenger side window was up or down?
It didn't, I couldn't see that it was down from my position, but he punched, he punched through the window. I don't know. I didn't know if the window was down or not.
You saw him punch into the vehicle, whether or not the window was up or down, you couldn't tell?
Yeah.
Okay. Could you hear what the words were?
No.
Okay. What was your reaction when you saw this guy on the bike just punch into the vehicle?
True words.
Yeah.
Oh shit. And then, yeah, oh shit. I didn't know why he did it. It was just a surprise.
Okay. And what does the guy on the bicycle do then?
He proceeded on his bike, turned on Holton, and went up Holton.
Okay. So if we're looking at the exhibit, we're going kind of around this area of Zena's Pizza and goes up Holton. Is that
Yes,
correct?
he makes a right onto Holton.
Okay, the vehicle that contained the person who got punched, what does that vehicle do?
Follows right behind him.
And what do you do?
Follow right behind that car.
Why'd you follow right behind him?
Just wondering where would the situation had went.
Okay. So the bike goes north on Holton, the car with the dude who got punched goes north on Holton, and you go north on Holton as well?
Yep, right behind the car.
Okay. And what happens when you all get onto Holton?
The guy was pretty much forced off the street by the car because he fell off his bike trying to get up the curb.
Okay.
He proceeded to run towards the stairs of the bridge right there. And then that's when the guy in the passenger seat gets out the car and proceeded to run after the guy. He forced him into a corner as if he wanted to engage into something with them.
And when you're saying engage, did you see the person who got out of the car? Did you see him do anything?
Yep, he put his fist up.
He got his fist up?
Yep, he was ready to engage.
Ready to engage. He gets his
Yeah.
fists up in a fight.
Yep.
Okay. Did you hear any yelling or anything going on back and forth?
No. At this time, I didn't hear any words.
How close are you to the two gentlemen when this happens?
I would say I'm on the curb in my car. So that's about 15, 20 feet.
Okay. And you didn't hear any yelling or screaming or anything like that?
No.
Okay. And the guy who gets into the boxing stance as you described with his fists up, were both fists up?
Yes.
Did he have anything in his fists?
I could not see that.
Okay, so he has his fists up in a boxing stance. What's the biker do?
He then pulls the gun. I believe, I don't know if it came from behind or out of a bag. He pulls the gun and then shoots the guy in the head.
So a guy gets into a boxing stance and the biker does what?
Pulls the gun and shoots the guy in the head.
Just pulls it up and shoots him.
Yep.
What happens next?
Then the guy hesitated. He didn't know necessarily what to do. And that's when he proceeded down the stairs.
And the person who gets shot in the head, what happens to him?
He falls straight down,
Just right down on the ground.
right down on the ground.
Okay. And Could you tell what kind of firearm the individual had, the shooter?
No, just knew it was a black gun.
Okay. Do you remember saying it may have been a semi-automatic?
No.
Now, he goes down the stairs. Does he like take his bike and go down the stairs?
Yep, he carries his bike right down the stairs with him.
What do you do?
I called the police. I was on the phone and I got off the phone to call the police. And I sat there for a minute. I continued north onto Houghton and made a U-turn. So I was heading. I continued north on Houghton and made a U-turn. I believe that's Brown, right past the bridge. Or I probably was still on the bridge when I made the U-turn. So now I'm facing south on Houghton. I'm on the south side of the street, facing Houghton.
Okay, and then what happens?
Then I finally got through with the 911 call because it took a couple calls. Finally got through, let them know. Went through that ordeal. Then still sitting there, I was waiting for the ambulance or whoever to show up. I decided to walk up to the body.
Okay. And when you walk up to the body, what did you see?
Because I was wondering, why did the guy get out the car? So I observed he had blood in his hand. And during that time as well, the driver, I don't know whom she is, but she was on the phone. And she asked me, did I call the police? And I told her yes, but whomever she was on the phone with, she proceeded with her conversation. I believe it was some of relation to the guy who died, because she said, your brother is dead. And then she went to state as well that a guy was riding the wrong way in the bike lane and she nearly hit him. And the guy who is dead told the guy to get the F out the way. And then that's when he came up to the car and she said, the guy asked, were you talking to me? And she said, the guy in the passenger side said yes. And that's when he punched him in his face.
Okay. So when you see this woman, what's her demeanor like as she's on this phone call?
Calm.
Okay.
Very calm. I was surprised, honestly, because I was hysterical. I'm like, wow, I just saw this guy get his head blown off. She was calm.
And when you go and you see the man who just has been shot, is he laying face down?
No, I think his face was to the side, because I was able to see his whole face.
Okay.
So
was he laying on his chest?
Yep, he was on his chest, but his head was up. Yeah.
And you said you saw his hands?
Yes.
Did he have anything in him?
No, I only saw one hand, and that one hand had blood in it. Other than that, I didn't see his other hand.
And you stated you called 911, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. One moment, Judge. Your Honor, the state has State's Exhibit number 39 currently in the TV and on the speakers. So I'm going to play the phone call at this moment.
And Humboldt, Brady and Holston. Okay. Brady and Holston, he got shot in the head. He got shot in the head.
Pausing in 16 seconds. Do you recognize that voice?
Yes.
Who is that?
Myself.
Okay, so this is your 911 call.
Yes.
Okay. Playing from that portion at 16 seconds.
I will connect the fire department, okay?
No, this is very serious. It's like... I'm on the phone with him now. Brady and Holston, a guy just got shot in the head.
Milwaukee Fire Department, where's your
Brady and Holston. Brady and Holston, a guy got shot in the head. Brady and Holston.
Stop. Police, go ahead. Police 17, Holden Brady for a male that was shot in the head. Caller, everyone get to a safe place and fight the fire department down when you send. We're on the way. Go ahead and fence with the police.
Okay.
Sir,
Yes.
you know who did this or no?
I just saw a guy. I was riding behind the car. A guy rolled. He was on a bike. He rolled up to the car in front of me and punched the guy in the face. The guy rolled behind him. He tried to approach him on the bike. He jumped out the car, and dude squatted up with him, and he turned around and just shot him.
Pausing in 1 minute and 26 seconds. You were referring to the passenger who got punched in the face and saying he squatted up, right?
Yes.
S-Q-U-A-D-E-D, right?
Yes.
All right. Squatted up means getting ready to fight someone?
Yes.
Getting in that boxing stance we were talking about?
Yep.
Okay. To squat up.
Yes.
All right, I learned that one from my kids. So, but that's what's that referring to, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, playing from 1 minute and 26 seconds into the recording.
Okay. Can you do the description of the guy that was on the bike?
He was a black guy, white shirt, black vest, black bike. Slim guy, short hair.
Okay.
I can't give you a direct facial, but
Okay. And when you say bike, you mean a bicycle or motorcycle?
a bicycle.
All right, the officers and medical attention is responding. Can I have your name?
I'm Rod Cameron.
Okay. All right.
You all need to get in that area. The guy can't be too far. He
Right.
went down the stairs right here on Holton. He can't be too far.
So he left off foot?
Yeah, he on his bike. He went
Oh,
down
still
the
on the
stairs
bike.
right here on the bridge.
On
He
Holton.
can't be too far.
Okay, I'll let the officers know, okay?
He shot right in the head. I
Okay.
can't believe that.
The help is responding, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Your Honor, the state moves State's Exhibit number 39 into evidence at this time.
Any objection?
No objection.
Received.
Now, did you stay on scene when the police arrived?
Yes.
And did they talk to you there, or did they call you later?
They came and spoke with me later.
Detectives came to your house, right?
I believe so. Yes.
Okay. Do you also remember an officer calling you from the scene because you were one of the 911 callers?
Yes. I believe. Yeah.
Your Honor, I have State's Exhibit number 83 currently in the screen.
Judge, we're objecting to that. We got to take up an issue on that.
What's Exhibit 83?
It's going to be the body cam of the officer speaking to the witness.
What's the objection?
2 grounds, Judge. Number 1, hearsay. This is not an excited utterance or present sense impression. Number 2, there's an opinion rendered, and that is not admissible.
And speaking to this witness,
Correct.
overruled. Law, state, lay a foundation, clarify this witness. Go ahead.
Now, the officer calls you and talks to you, and you tell him what happens. Is that correct?
Yes.
Did you also refer to kind of a description of what you just saw? Like, could you describe kind of the manner in which you just saw what happened at that scene?
If I recall, no, I really don't recall. I
You
don't
don't
know
remember
exactly.
describing it?
No.
Okay. Do you remember telling the officer over the phone that it just seemed cold-blooded?
Objection. Leading.
I possibly said,
Hang on. Overruled, it's not leading, it's a question. Did he say that? You can answer, sir.
I don't think I said cold blood. I possibly said, I do recall saying that I would have just fought. I would have just fought him.
You would have just fought if you were that individual?
Yes, I
Okay,
would have just
but-
fought him.
Again, you can't speak to what other people are doing one way or the
No.
other, right? You don't know what was going on in anyone's minds.
No.
You honestly can't state whether or not what somebody was thinking was the right or wrong thing, right?
No.
Overruled.
Okay, so whatever that is, one moment. Taking off the interactive zoom, going to approximately 23 seconds into the recording.
What exhibit is it?
This is going to be State's Exhibit number 83, Your Honor. This is the second body cam of Officer Raymond Debraska. Pausing at 36 seconds into the recording. Do you recognize whose voice that is?
Yes,
Whose is that?
myself.
Okay.
Okay.
And just so we're clear there, when you're describing that night, you're saying guy was about to go down the stairs and the deceased victim gets up and squads up again, right?
Yes,
Gets into that fighting stance.
yes,
What it appears to be to you.
yes.
Okay. Playing from that portion at 59 seconds.
Okay. Did you get to look at the guy on the bike? I know he's a black guy, strong, dark skin, white shirt, black vest, I believe black shorts, some of the black shorts, black bike, not a bike. Yeah. Could you tell how old he was? Rough estimate? He wasn't a kid though, like a teenager? I would say not. I would say he was older, not older, but he's... maybe the 30s? His 30s, yeah, he got to be in his 30s, he could have been older. I didn't see him that close to know of his age. Okay. Not a young guy. I can say he's not young. Okay. Anything else that you could tell about him that would be like stick out for us if we saw him? Did he have like long dreads or anything
here tonight?
Yeah, I should be.
Okay.
I'll give me a call.
Okay. And this number that I got for you is a good one to call you at?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, buddy.
Y'all got to get this.
We're working on it.
That was just too cold right there.
Could you tell what kind of gun he had, or were you too far away?
No, I would say that was like I'm not familiar with guns, but I think it was like a 9.
And pausing in 3 minutes and 20 seconds. Okay, so at least when you told us you just thought it was black, but when you spoke to the officer, you thought it was potentially a 9. Is that correct?
Yes.
But you don't really know guns?
No.
Okay. And you told us today that the person that got out of the car ran towards the individual. When you're talking to the officers, you said he approached the guy, right?
Yes.
Kind of meaning the same thing, all right?
Yes.
Okay. Did you hear anything spoken between these two individuals?
No.
Besides the firearm that you saw the shooter use, do you see any weapons in anyone else's hands?
No.
The victim who dies, did he take a swing at him?
Nope. Not at the, no.
He gets into that boxing stance, does he do anything other than appear to get into that boxing stance?
He's walking the guy down and backed him up into a corner. Other than that, no.
Okay. You didn't say that on the video, but that's the way you remember, right?
Yes.
And that corner would be getting down to the stairs.
Yes.
The guy was already by those stairs, though, right?
Yes.
So he was already in that corner.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So he's at the corner. Was he or was he not already in the corner?
He was heading to the stairs.
Okay.
So as the guy approached him, he ended up being into the corner now.
Yeah. Okay. And I just want to be very clear, when you came back and you go and see the victim's body, in the one hand that you did see, you didn't see any weapon.
No.
Which hand did you see, if you remember?
I believe it would be his left hand. 'Cause he was laid, his arm was out straight. Yeah, I believe that was his left.
You think it was his left?
Yes.
Okay, and to be clear, we've just played both of your statements, both to the officer on the phone as well as to the 911 caller. You never mentioned that to either one of them.
Traumatized.
Okay. You also never mentioned that to the detectives who come and talk to you later, right?
Traumatized. All happened within 2 hours of each other.
Understood. But just to be very clear, when we've now played those two portions that were recorded, you didn't say that you went up to the body.
I believe I did recall, not on those, but I think when the detective came, I'm sure I mentioned something about walking up to the body.
Okay.
If there was a question asked upon that, I mentioned it.
It was a lot that you saw that day.
Yes.
Okay. And I also want to be just very clear about this. Did you know either side of this?
No.
Did you know who the shooter was?
No.
Did you know who the victim was?
No.
Were you ever able to even identify the shooter?
No.
They asked you to do that, didn't they?
Yes.
They asked you to participate in an identification procedure, and you couldn't pick anyone out.
No.
Sir, you are currently in custody right now, correct?
Yes.
And that's solely based on getting you here to testify, right?
Yes.
When you're testifying, there was a belief, or at least a reason why at least the state thought you may not come willingly, correct? And there was a warrant issued for you, right?
Can you repeat that?
Strike, let me rephrase that. It was a horrible question. A warrant was issued in order to get you to come to court, right?
It wasn't necessary, but yes.
Okay. And you've been held on that, right?
Yes.
And you got an attorney from the public defender's office, right?
Yes.
And you're not happy about being held on this, are you?
No.
You're not happy with the state right now, are you?
Absolutely not.
Lead questions, objections.
Goes to bias.
It potentially goes to bias. You can rephrase. I mean, fine, let's just move it along.
Just want to be very clear. Have there been any deals or any negotiations for your testimony here today?
Absolutely not.
Just told to tell the truth, right?
Yes.
One moment, Your Honor. No further questions of this witness. Thank you.
Whoever's phone that is had better turn it off and/or be escorted out of the courtroom. Cross.
Oh, Your Honor, I would note that the state will move those portions of additional State's Exhibit Number 83 that were played in evidence at this time.
You're making the same objection for the record as to the body cam on those 2 grounds.
Noting the objection, they're admitted. Received. Barb.
Good afternoon, Mr. Cameron. I'm attorney Biavi Lamar, represent Theodore Edgecomb. Now, Mr. Cameron, I want to just start by stating, you talked briefly in your introduction of what took place on September 22nd. You mentioned that you saw that there was a vehicle that swerved, correct?
No, I did not.
Okay, what did you see? What was the first thing that you saw on Brady Street?
The guy get punched in the face.
Okay, and you seen that when you exited out of?
Zana's Pizza.
Okay. And you didn't see what led up to Mr. Edgecomb
Nope.
coming to the vehicle, did you?
No. And that's honestly the reason why I got out the car. Just to see what actually took place to lead up to that.
Okay. Did you hear Mr. Edgecomb say anything to Mr. Cleereman or anyone in that vehicle?
No.
Did you hear anything from that vehicle? Did you hear the Cleereman say anything to Mr. Edgecomb?
No.
Did you see Mr. Edgecomb brandish a firearm at the time he went and approached Mr. Cleereman?
At the vehicle? No.
Did you ever hear him threaten to bring out a firearm when he went to the vehicle?
No.
Now, Mr. Cameron, is it true that the last 2 digits of your phone number ends in 65?
Yes. Yeah.
Do you remember having communications with the defense firm who represents Mr. Edgecomb in this case?
Yes.
You remember having text messages involving you talking about your testimony with the defense firm?
Yes.
And do you recall having a conversation with the defense firm where you talked about Mr. Edgecomb looking shocked after the gunshot went off? Did you use those words?
Yes.
And you used the word shocked, correct?
I can't recall, but yeah, like I stated earlier, he was shocked, I would say, yeah.
And when you say shocked, did it appear that he looked a bit surprised?
Yes.
Now, you stated on direct that there was a time that you got out the vehicle, correct?
Yes.
And you went to the body of Mr. Cleereman, correct?
Yes.
The state play video number 35, please. Say exhibit 35. 34, for the record. All right, Mr. Cameron, I want you to just take a look at what has been marked as state exhibit number 34. And if the state could stop the video right now. Now, Mr. Cameron, is that your vehicle that's following the Cleeremans at this point?
I would say so. It really can't hard. It's hard to describe. See the details of the vehicle
Okay.
from my.
All right, well, let's
view.
go a couple more seconds, please. Do you recall pulling into the right lane, following the Cleeremans as the vehicle behind the Cleeremans is doing at this point?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So can you confirm at this time that that is you behind the Cleeremans at this point?
Yes.
Okay. Now, do you get out the vehicle at this point, Mr. Cameron?
No, I don't think
Okay,
so.
if the state could continue. Now you're driving off, is that correct?
Yes.
I want to finish this video out, and I want you to let me know if your vehicle ever comes back in frame in this video. Now, you can stop, please. If the state could go back to about 40 seconds of the video, please. Okay, so I want to stop right here. I want you to focus on the Cleerman vehicle, right? If you go ahead and play. Now, do you notice, you can stop, please. Do you notice Ms. Cleerman getting out the vehicle at this point?
Yes.
Okay. Is that the person that you recognize that was at the body at the time that you came up?
Yes.
If the state could continue playing the video, please.
And the witness, can you use the microphone, please?
Yes.
Okay, you notice Ms. Cleerman running to the body at this point?
As of the video, yes.
Okay, now were you by her at the time she ran to the body this time?
No.
So on this time, you were not present with her, correct?
No.
Okay, if the state could continue playing the video. Now, she gets something and now she's running back to the vehicle. Is that what you see?
Your Honor, I don't believe you can see her get something. I think that's a mischaracterization of what can be seen on the video.
Let's ask the witness what he can see. The witness is not,
Can the TV be turned towards me a bit better?
yes.
If the state wants to go back about 3 seconds, please.
And play from there.
Yes.
Yes, I do see her going back to her vehicle.
Okay. Now, you didn't observe her go to her vehicle at the time you were on the scene, did you?
No.
You weren't present, were you?
No.
You don't know what Ms. Cleereman did at this point, do you?
No.
If the state could continue playing the video, please. You stop the vehicle, stop the video, please. Do you notice Ms. Cleereman getting in her vehicle?
Can you?
I'm sorry, If we go back 5 seconds. Okay, if you can go ahead.
Yes.
You just saw her go back in her vehicle, correct?
Yes.
Did you witness that on September 22nd?
I don't think so.
So that occurred without your knowledge, correct?
Yes.
All right, now if the state can go back and play the rest of the video, please. Now I want you to tell the members of the jury if you ever come back in frame in this video.
Mm-hmm.
Is that you? Let's stop the vehicle. Stop the video, please. You didn't switch cars and come into a red SUV, did you?
No.
That's not you, is it?
No.
If the state could continue playing the video, please. I believe that's the conclusion of the video. Mr. Cameron, did you ever see yourself appear back in that video?
No.
You never seen yourself go to the body as you saw Ms. Cleereman did you?
No.
Now, you stated that you were about 10 to 15 feet from where the incident occurred, where you seen Mr. Cleereman get into a boxer stance, correct?
Yes.
All right, so let's describe that. Were you directly behind him? Let's understand where your vantage point was at that time.
Behind, I would say on an angle.
So, would you agree, is this about 10 feet?
That's about 15. Yeah. 10 to 15 feet.
So you were behind where the incident happened at, correct?
Yes.
And Mr. Cleereman's back is to you, correct?
Yes.
And he's in a boxer stance, correct?
Yes. And going off of your distance now is a bit further than that.
Is it a bit farther this way?
Yep, for it's
Tell me
probably
when to
more
stop.
like 20 feet then.
Okay, let me know when to stop.
Yeah, that's about right.
Can you tell if I have an object in my hand or not?
No.
Is this the type of position that Mr. Cleereman was in at the time?
Yes.
Does this courtroom appear bright to you?
Bright?
Yes. Would you consider this courtroom bright?
Yes.
Would you consider the night of September 22nd dark on Houghton Street?
Yes.
Could you tell that I had a pair of sunglasses in my hand, Mr. Cameron?
Absolutely not.
Now, Mr. Cameron, you indicated on direct examination that when you got to the body, that Ms. Cleereman appeared to be calm. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you appeared to be hysterical. Would you consider that a characterization of your conduct at that time?
Yes.
Okay. Now, when you mentioned that Ms. Cleereman appeared calm, describe that. What made her feel calm? Was it her tone? Was it, describe to the members of the jury what made her appear calm?
She wasn't crying. She was calm. She wasn't shaken of any sort. She was on the phone and she was calmly explaining what just took place to the guy who was dead. As you saw, I was hysterical. I was traumatized.
And did you know Mr. Cleereman? Have you ever seen Mr. Cleereman before?
No.
Did you feel emotional based off of what you saw?
Yeah, because of what took place, yeah.
Now, you mentioned that she was on a phone call, correct?
Yes.
So her phone appeared to be operable, correct?
Yes.
Was she on the phone with 911?
No.
Was she on the phone with anybody giving her instructions on how to provide medical aid to Mr. Cleereman?
I don't think so.
Did you see Ms. Cleereman trying to provide medical aid to Mr. Cleereman?
No.
Did you see her apply pressure to Mr. Cleereman's wound?
No.
Did you see her ever try to administer CPR to Mr. Cleereman?
No.
Did she ask you to assist Mr. Cleereman in saving his life?
No. She only asked if I called 911.
Was Ms. Cleereman at the body before you got to the body?
Yes.
So you don't know what Ms. Cleereman could have done prior to you getting to the body, correct?
No.
Was there anybody else around at the time you went to the body along with Ms. Cleereman?
Yes, there was another couple
Okay.
that was there. I'm assuming they're a couple. It was a man and a woman.
Was she African American? Okay, can you describe her ethnicity?
I would say she was African American.
Okay. If the state could go back to state exhibit number 34, please. And go right about to 1 minute and 29 seconds. I'm gonna stop right there. Is the young lady that you seen that was present at the time you were at the body get out this red SUV?
I didn't see her get out, but I believe the guy that was with her returned to that vehicle.
Was that a black guy?
I believe so, yes.
Did it appear to be her husband?
I would say, yeah, they were couples. They were a couple.
And what did you see the African American woman at the scene doing at the time?
I believe we were almost standing next to each other, and she was asking, I believe she asked the, you said Miss Clerk was the wife name. I think she was asking if she was okay or something of that sort.
So you seen the African American lady asking Ms. Cleereman if she was okay?
Yes.
Did you ever see Ms. Cleereman ask the African American lady to assist in saving her husband's life?
No.
You never seen her ask to apply pressure to the wound where the blood was coming from, correct?
No.
You never seen Ms. Cleereman ask the African American lady to apply CPR or apply any medical assistance to her whatsoever, correct?
No.
Now, Mr. Cameron, I noticed that you're in an orange jumpsuit today.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about that?
Terrible. I shouldn't be in this suit at all.
Now, you've been incarcerated because you were a material witness in this case, correct?
Yes.
And the state have been trying to get in contact with you to give testimony in this case, correct?
Not trying. They have contacted me. I've been speaking to them throughout the duration of this case.
But you really didn't want to be here, did you?
No, that wasn't the case. I had no problem with being here.
Okay. Is there a reason why you weren't served a subpoena, or it was a little bit troubling getting that?
Because I own my own business and I have 6 children I'm raising. And I even told the guy, I don't have a problem receiving the subpoena, but I can't drop everything in my life just to come and pick up this piece of paper. I understood that when court was, and I told them I would be there. I never told them I wasn't gonna be there. When I came to pick up the subpoena, that's when I was arrested.
When you describe cold-blooded, Mr. Cameron, well, let me strike that. Mr. Cameron, have you ever seen anyone get shot before?
Yes.
And what was that, how was that experience for you?
Somewhat traumatizing. Or anytime you see someone, whether it's a shot or getting beat, when you see someone of that nature, it's traumatizing.
And this situation was traumatizing for you as well, correct?
Yes.
And you still have the effects from what you saw back on September 22nd, correct?
Yeah.
Now, when you seen Mr. Edgecomb, from the moment there was a punch, right? Mm-hmm. And you seen that punch.
Yes.
And you seen Mr. Edgecomb get on his bike, correct?
Yes.
Did Mr. Edgecomb appear to be a threat to Mr. Cleereman after he got on the bike?
No.
Did it appear that Mr. Edgecomb withdrew from any confrontation that existed at that moment?
Yes, he was trying to get away.
And you also noticed Mr. Edgecomb turned a corner to try to get away, correct?
Yes. Yes.
And did you notice Mr. Edgecomb standing up on his bike?
Riding off? Yes.
Now, there was a time that you see Mr. Edgecomb on the sidewalk, correct?
Yes.
And he was still trying to get away, right?
Yes.
Is there any time that you saw Mr. Edgecomb take any aggressive step toward Mr. Cleereman or identify any aggressive behavior from Mr. Edgecomb from the time he got back on that bike?
No.
Is it your testimony, Mr. Cameron, that Mr. Edgecomb was trying to get down the stairs to escape Mr. Cleereman?
Yes.
But he was stopped, wasn't he?
Yes.
I have no more questions for you, Mr. Cameron. Thank you for your testimony.
State.
Defense counsel asked you whether or not, apparently in a phone conversation you had with the lawyers, I guess,
Yes.
that you told them that the defendant appeared, or the shooter, because just so we're clear, you never identified who the shooter was, right?
No.
All right. So the shooter appeared shocked, right?
Yes.
But in your phone calls to 911 and to the police, you refer to it as cold-blooded, right?
The shot was cold-blooded.
The shot was cold-blooded, right?
Yes.
You never said that the shooter appeared shocked, did you?
I do recall mentioning that. He hesitated. He did not run right away.
Understood. But you didn't say shocked in the phone call. You referred to what he had just done as cold-blooded, right?
Yes.
And you told the police, you gotta he's still in this area. You gotta find him, right?
Yes.
You said, I believe guys gotta go, right?
Yes.
Means you gotta lock the guy up.
Yes.
You just saw him shoot someone cold-bloodedly in the face.
Yes.
Now, additionally, just one portion, since we already have State's Exhibit number 34 lined up here, a couple things that I do want to discuss here. And I have it paused at 16 or 18 seconds into the recording. Can you still see it?
Yeah.
I know it's
Yes.
All right, so we've established that this one right here, that's going to be you pulling up behind this incident. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And the horrible zoom we have, I'm going to try to use it here real quick. And playing from that portion at 18 seconds, we can now see that the shooter is already in that stair area, kind of in that corner, right?
Yes.
Okay. And the victim, the person who's going to get shot in the face, he kind of breaks into a little jog, a little run to kind of get over there, right?
Yeah.
This guy's already in that corner.
According to the video, yes.
Okay. Not necessarily the way you'd remembered it, right?
Yes.
Okay, but we can see he's already there and he's not moving. And this guy's breaks into a little jog, right?
Yes.
Okay. And just so we're clear, I was circling what is the victim, Mr. Edgecomb. Now, playing from that portion, pausing. Now, I want to draw your attention to something here, sir. This is your vehicle, right?
Yes.
You're looking at it at an angle, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. This is the victim, right?
Yes.
This is the shooter, right?
Yes.
Now, when defense counsel was doing his demonstration, he had himself and his back 100% to you, right?
Yes.
Couldn't see his arms, right? That's not the way you were situated, was it?
No.
Okay, so the whole thing defense counsel did doesn't reflect what actually you saw, right?
I didn't see anything in his hand.
Okay, understood you didn't see anything. You couldn't even see the hands when defense counsel's doing this trickery, right?
No, I couldn't see the defendant's hands neither.
Okay.
I
Couldn't
mean,
see
not the defendant's, but the victim's hand.
Okay. You said he was in a boxing stance, right?
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, if we're looking on the video, we can see he's got one leg forward and one arm up, right? Mm-hmm. Is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay, and that's what you're looking at, right?
Yes.
You're seeing that kind of side portion of them, right? Little bit
Yes.
behind. You can see an arm, right?
Yes.
Okay, so not completely like we had, but more of a side portion.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay. Now, just to be clear, you couldn't see his hands. You couldn't see if he had anything in there or not.
No.
Okay, fair enough. But it looked to you like he was getting ready to box the guy.
Yes.
He's gonna fight him. So yes?
Yes.
Okay. And just so we have this, that individual with the bike, the shooter, he never moves from the moment we see the victim get out of the car until this boxing stance happens, right? He's kind of still in that corner that entire time, right?
Yes, according to the video.
Okay. Now, there had been some question about when you come back and, you know, whether or not we can see you on the video return.
Mm-hmm.
I want to spend just a little bit of time following you on this video if we can, okay?
Yes.
All right. Playing from State's Exhibit number, the same one from 28 seconds into the recording. I'm going to pause at 44 seconds into the recording. You're still in the camera, right?
Yes.
All right, so you've pulled forward, but now you're just kind of like on that little curve like you were telling us.
Yes.
All right. Playing from that portion. Still see you in that same area, correct?
Yes.
Haven't pulled
Yes.
off, have you?
No.
And that was, just so we're clear, we can still see your vehicle there,
Yes.
still see your brake lights,
Yes.
and that was the end of the video, right?
Yes.
Okay, so, at least on the video, you don't leave the scene area, do you?
Yes.
Just like you said.
Yes.
Nothing else, thank you.
Any follow-up?
Mr. Cameron.
Now, you stated that you got out and you went to the area where the body was at, correct?
Yes.
Would you describe that as being a pretty confined place?
Yes.
It was tight, maybe, 4 feet or so?
Yes.
It's a small box, correct?
Yes.
So Mr. Edgecomb at that place, he would be confined, correct?
Yes.
Now, behind him was he would have to jump over a banister, correct? And there's a drop down, right?
Yes.
And that drop down would probably be approximately about 30 feet or so, would you guess?
I would say probably more.
You say probably more than 30 feet?
Yeah, it's a bridge.
Okay. About 40 feet?
40 to 50 feet, yeah.
Okay. So it's about a 50.
40 to 50 feet.
So Mr. Edgecomb would have to, one option would be for him to jump over this bridge, which would be 50 feet, correct?
Yes.
Now, to Mr. Edgecomb's left, there was a steep staircase, correct?
Yes.
And Mr. Edgecomb would have to then take his bike, correct?
Yes.
And then to go down these steep stairs, that would be 50 feet in approximate length, correct?
Yes.
Now, you mentioned that it was dark in that area, correct?
Yes.
And you don't know what the words were of Mr. Cleereman when he was face to face with Mr. Edgecomb, do you?
No.
You don't know if he said, "I'm going to kill you now." You don't know if he said that or not, do you?
No.
Now, you mentioned that from the time that Mr. Edgecomb got on that bike, you mentioned he was trying to get away, correct?
Yes.
Did he appear to be afraid to you?
Afraid? Yeah. He's trying to get away.
And when he turned that right corner, did he appear to be afraid?
Yes. He was
And
really.
when he stands up on the bike and he's now aggressively pedaling, correct?
Yes.
And he gets into the bike lane, correct?
Yes.
And there's something that happens that causes Mr. Edgecomb to go from the bike lane to now jump a curb, correct?
Yes.
And I think your testimony was it appeared that Mr. Edgecomb fell off the bike when the Edgecombs, where the Cleeremans were using their vehicle toward him. Is that
Yes.
correct? Would you consider the vehicle coming at Mr. Edgecomb aggressively?
Yes.
Would you consider the vehicle coming at Mr. Edgecomb violently?
Yeah.
Did it appear that Mr. Edgecomb was afraid at the time he jumped the curb to get on the sidewalk?
Yeah, because he fell.
Did it appear that Mr. Edgecomb was afraid when he continued on onto the sidewalk?
Yes.
Did it appear that Mr. Edgecomb was afraid when he turned right to try to escape the exact direction of Mr. and Mrs. Cleereman?
Yes.
Did it appear that Mr. Edgecomb was afraid when he considered trying to go down those stairs?
Yes.
No more questions.
State can have a couple questions and then we'll be done.
Just to be very clear, though, when you talked to the police that night, and when you called 911, you didn't say any of the stuff that you're saying to defense counsel now, did you?
No.
You're having phone calls with them, but what you told the police was that he just pulled out a gun and shot him in the head, right?
Yes.
And that it was cold-blooded, right?
Yes.
And you guys better get here to find him, right?
Yes.
None of what defense counsel's talking about.
No.
You didn't mention any of that in the 911 call.
No.
You didn't mention any of that when the police call you on the phone.
No.
You didn't mention any of that to the detective.
No. No.
And in fact, when you talked about the hesitation, do you remember telling the detective that the reason you thought the defendant hesitated was because the victim fell into his bike and he had to like pick the bike over and get it over the body?
No, I don't recall saying that.
Do you remember saying, and just want to make sure I have this, when you spoke to a Christopher Fritz, a Detective Fritz, maybe, that it appeared to him as if the victim fell onto the suspect's bicycle because the suspect hesitated for a moment and then carried his bicycle down the stairway. Do you remember saying that?
I do not.
Okay. Did the shooter seem afraid when he rode up and punched the victim in the face in the car?
No.
Just rides up and just punches him, right?
Yes.
And then he goes on his way, right?
Yes.
And when you're referring to it to the police, you refer to it as cold-blooded.
Yes.
Nothing else. Thank you.
Defense, briefly.
Mr. Cameron, now you talked to a police officer on September 22nd, the night that it occurred, correct?
Yes.
Did that officer ever ask you to come in to the office, to the police station?
No.
He never asked you to make a formal statement, did he?
No.
He never asked you to sign anything, did he?
No.
Now, today, Mr. Cameron, you understand that your testimony is under oath, correct?
Yes.
You raised your right hand?
Yes.
You swore to tell the truth?
You have to
Yes.
let him answer, counsel, please.
And is the testimony that you gave today true?
Yes.
Is it accurate?
As much as I can remember, yes.
Is it the whole story of what you remember on September 22nd?
Of what I remember, yes.
Thank you.
Sir, they did ask you to talk to detectives, didn't they? We just saw it on the body cam.
Yeah, that night they came to my house to speak with me.
Yeah, to take a formal statement, right?
I don't know if it was formal or not. I didn't sign anything. I
No,
don't think.
but detectives and an officer and 911 call all took from you what you told them, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Counsel, anything? All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's almost 10 to 12. We're going to break for lunch. So for the jury, I'm going to ask you to be back at 1 o'clock. Since I want you to all make it back safely, please be careful what you choose in the cafeteria, because as you've probably figured out by now, the food, maybe for the rest of the week or tomorrow, we'll bring a lunch. But either way, be back at 1 o'clock. Please leave your notepads where they are. You know all the other rules about not deliberating, no research, no discussion of the case. Follow my bailiff out. Everybody else can remain seated until the jury's out, please. Jury's out. We're in recess. We'll see everybody back around 1 or a few minutes after. We'll try to start up at 1:15.
All bail conditions and let go today.
Yes.
Thank you.
Off the record.